Huge boxing match coming up this weekend. Manny Pacquiao fighting Keith Thurman in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thurman's WBC welterweight championship is on the line. Pacquiao only a slight favorite, coming in at minus 155 on the money line. Thurman, meanwhile, plus 125 betting underdog. Rick, money to be made on whichever side ends up winning this fight with those odds. Which side are you taking?
Well, I need to, put a disclaimer out there. Manny Pacquiao is tied with Marvin Hagler as my favorite boxer of all time. So I'm a big Pacquiao fan. I've been a Pacquiao fan for a long time. He's won me over with his willingness to fight pretty much anybody. And then his style in the ring, his fearlessness, his volume, his footwork, his in and out boxing. That's what's going to give Thurman a hard time here. Thurman's fought one time in the last 28 months. He's dealt with injuries and a car accident. And so it's not like he just took time off because he didn't feel like fighting or whatever. He had to come back from injuries and stuff. He'll have the power advantage. He'll have the size and the length advantage. But Pacquiao is Pacquiao. He's a legend of he's a living legend of the sport right now. People are calling him the Tom Brady of boxing right now. So I'm not a big fan of Tom Brady, but I can see the comparison there, okay? He's a champ. He's defying the odds. He's 40 years old. Thurman's 10 years younger than him. Pacquiao's winning this, baby. We're going to be celebrating. I wish I was there in Vegas for this fight. Drew, you'll be celebrating because Pacquiao's going to win. Pac-Man, his athleticism, his quickness is going to give Thurman some problems, okay? Thurman will have to catch him in close proximity to rock him. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to throw the volume that Pacquiao throws. That's one of the advantages Pacquiao has. The only time we saw Pacquiao not have that kind of advantage was against Mayweather, who just runs and ducks, and Juan Manuel Marquez, who's actually very comparable to Manny Pacquiao. Other than that, his sheer volume of punching puts him in a position to win fights on a regular basis, especially against someone who can't keep up with him in terms of volume and speed. Pac-Man all day.
Taylor, are you agreeing? Thurman's 10 years younger, 29-0, 22 knockout victories, 29 wins in his career, 0 losses, no decisions.
I'm taking Thurman. The one thing that gives me pause here is that he hasn't fought in 22 months, which is a huge layoff. But like you said, 10 years younger, he's undefeated. He has a size advantage, presumable strength advantage over Pacquiao. Pacquiao's old. He's had a great career and everything. He was the man there for a while. I just like the value you can get on Thurman, plus 125. The odds are pretty favorable. It's kind of a toss-up, so I would just take the better value, and that's Thurman.
Yeah. Champ with positive betting odds is kind of incredible for a fight like that. So I might gear that way, even if I think Pacquiao might be the more likely to finish, but you never or win. You never know when that longevity is going to end. Everybody thought Brady for 5 years running, so to use that comparison that Rick used. So he could be going until he's 50. Who knows? But at some point it would. Thurman trying to make it 30-0. He's the champ, and when you can get better than 1-to-1 payout on the champion in a fight, it's hard to go against it. And Rick, a question I've got for you too is about the length of this fight, because you've got minus 330 betting odds that it ends in a decision, plus 240 for a stoppage. 8 of Pacquiao's last 9 fights have ended in decision, and he's only won 2 fights by a stoppage in the last decade. So is this an open and shut case that's going to be a decision since you're picking Pacquiao to win?
I do think it's going to be a decision. And because what I was saying, his volume of punching, he's going to win points. Unless Thurman makes a huge mistake and leaves himself open to be blasted, which even Thurman himself said, he's going to make sure that that's not the case here in this fight. Thurman himself has had, I think it was 5 of his last 6 or 7 fights have gone the distance. He's only got 7 fights that have gone the distance, and most of them have happened in the last 3-4 years, if you include the layoff. So with that said, both of them are coming into this fight not knocking out their opponents on a consistent basis in recent years. That gives more credibility or credence to the fact that this should go to the distance. I believe Pacquiao's going to win. I believe he'll win by at least a majority decision, if not a unanimous decision. I believe he will outwork. If you go back to look into his fight earlier this year against Adrian Broner, he outworked him. That's what made everybody say, oh, my God, wait a minute. Pacquiao still got the speed. It doesn't even look like he slowed down at all because he took a guy that was 11 years younger, a former champ, and just outboxed him for 11 of the 12 rounds. Now he comes against another guy who looked terrible in his fight in January, his first fight since March 2017. He looked terrible. He won by split decision. That doesn't sound like someone you want to put your confidence in, going up against a living legend of the sport. It's going the distance. Pacquiao's winning by decision. He'll outscore him just about every round unless he gets put down on the mat. Pacquiao's smart. He's back with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach is a Hall of Fame trainer. They'll have a great game plan. As long as Pacquiao doesn't stick his chin out there to get knocked out, he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, it'll go the distance. I don't think you should bet on it at minus 330. There's just no point. But if you're going to bet on it, just bet on the fight itself because it has better odds than whether it'll go the distance. Apparently, I can't say that phrase.
To follow up, I agree with what he's saying. There are prop bets where you can pick the method of victory. In my preview, Thurman was plus 185 to win by decision, and Pacquiao was plus 145 to win by decision. Those odds right there would be much better and offer more value than what we were just discussing, minus 330, plus 240.
Yeah, I definitely think it's safer if you're going to pick Pacquiao to bet him to win by decision because he does not have that kind of knockout potential, really. I mean, like I said before, it was 3 fights ago he won by TKO, and before that it was November of 2009. So if you're going to go the other way, though, I would just you're already getting positive odds. So I would either take Thurman straight up on the money line, or I would take Pacquiao to win by decision. Let's go to MMA. UFC's on ESPN this weekend. 2 fights we want to get to. Begin with the main event of the evening. RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, listing at even money as he faces Leon Edwards. Edwards, the favorite, at minus 130. So, Taylor, which fighter wins Saturday's main event in San Antonio, Texas? Kind of similar here when you're looking at the ages, with Edwards being the younger up-and-comer and RDA being the more established veteran.
Yeah, Edwards is 7 years younger. He's less established. This will be his first fight in the U.S. His last 13 fights were in his native England. But he's been in good form. If RDA can take the fight to the ground, though, I think he has an advantage. Like you said, he's more seasoned, the more polished fighter. I like the plus money odds you can get on him, or I guess even money odds you can get on him compared to Edwards. It's just Edwards is not really a known commodity, and I'll take the one we know more about, and that's Dos Anjos. So once again, I'll just side with the better value and what seems like a toss-up overall.
This is a tough fight to pick. I mean, your argument makes a lot of sense. The problem is Edwards is probably the most overlooked fighter in the division right now. Dos Anjos, though, just beat Kevin Lee in his last fight, which Kevin Lee, most people thought was going to win that fight. And it was an exciting fight. Kevin Lee's younger, more athletic, yada, yada, yada. Same thing you can say about Edwards compared to Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos, like with Pacquiao, can win this fight with volume of punches. He throws more punches per fight than Edwards does. And he probably has at least the same amount of power as Edwards does. I think if Edwards can dictate the pace, that's a different story because that's how he wins his fights. He controls the pace and he controls where the fight goes, whether it stays up or goes down. They're both similar power, and maybe Dos Anjos has a little bit of edge there. If they go to the mat, it's closer to even than it's not. It's a hard fight to pick because both of them have paths to victory. I want to go with Dos Anjos, but I just feel like this is Edwards' time now. Like, he needs that fight. Most people are saying he's been overlooked for too long. He's the best kept secret in the division. He's got so much talent. This is his time to shine, and I kind of am buying into that hype right now, which maybe will blow up in my face. But then again, I did pick Uriah Faber to win last week, and I did say in the main event there was potential for an upset, and I did pick Josh Emmett to upset as well. I'm going with Edwards. I talked myself into it.
All right. Well, we got 2 fights prior to that one, and before the co-main event, It's a matchup a lot of people have been waiting for quite some time, including one of the combatants. Juan Adams faces Greg Hardy. Both fighters available at minus 115. Rick, Adams has wanted to destroy Hardy for a long time, and finally he gets to step into the octagon with him. So the question is, will he?
I 100% despise Hardy. I didn't like him as a football player. I didn't like him with the stuff he pulled legally. We won't go into too much depth there. I despise the guy. Other than Floyd Mayweather, there's not many athletes I despise more than Hardy. I will be 150% rooting for Adams to win this fight, and I think he can win this fight. I think he's a more complete fighter than Hardy is. I think the one thing he has to look out for is Hardy has explosiveness, Hardy has some speed, and he has power. He's shown that in the other fights where he's taken out inferior quality opponents. And, he made a mistake. I'll give it to him. He made that mistake when he got disqualified in his last fight with the illegal knee. We're not talking about a seasoned fighter here, okay? And in the heat of the fight, and you're just focused on striking, and you might see an opening. Yeah, so he got it, and because he is who he is, he got a lot more crap because of it. But with that said, Adams has to be careful here because that explosiveness, that knockout power is legit. And if Adams isn't careful, he can get knocked out. But I can't stand Hardy. I'll be rooting against him. I will never bet on him. I will never bet for him. I hate even picking him when I did pick him in the past.
I was wondering if this was the Greg Hardy, and apparently it is.
It is.
What a weird life. Anyway, I guess I'll take him just because I've heard of him. So I think that's fine reasoning.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Greg Hardy does in his first lifetime fight against equal competition. He's been fighting for his entire life people who are just not on his level, who are either not on his physical level, not his size, not his gender, whatever it might be. So it'll be interesting to see what he can actually do against someone who can fight back equally. The competition he's had in his MMA career has not been even close to Juan Adams' ability level. And Hardy lost because he got DQ'd for an illegal knee, as Rick said. I'm with you, Rick, on it. I am kind of disgusted by Hardy. I would never bet money on him because it would just be filthy to win it. I think Adams is a very talented fighter. I think that I like you. I'm hoping he puts Hardy in his place. I'm hoping that we can end this and just never hear from him again unless he gets arrested. And that'll be it. So I would pick Juan Adams because I would never pick Greg Hardy. I hope you enjoyed that segment from the Odds On Favorites podcast. If you did, there's plenty more where that came from. Click on the link on your screen now to be taken to the complete podcast from this week, or check out the channel to find the other individual segments. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Odds On Favorites YouTube channel for plenty more sports and sports betting picks, tips, and how-to guides.